Emma Carter was 10 years old when she found the egg that would change everything. She did not know it yet. She only knew that the caves called to her, the way they always did. The crystalline caves lay 2 miles from the settlement, past the red rock formations and the dead forest where the acid rain had killed everything years ago. Emma knew she was not supposed to go there. The colony council had forbidden it. But rules felt different when you were 10 and curious and tired of doing what you were told. Her older brother Lucas followed her because he always did. He was 17 and thought he should protect her, even when she did not want protecting. They had climbed through the caves since they were small, sneaking out when the guards were not looking. The caves were beautiful in a way that scared you. The walls glowed with pale blue light that came from nowhere. The air felt cold and wet and old. "We should go back," Lucas said. He said this every time, and every time Emma ignored him. The caves went down and down. The floor was covered with sand that sparkled like crushed glass. Emma liked the way it crunched under her boots. The light grew brighter as they went deeper, and the sound of water echoed through the tunnels. Then Emma saw it. The egg lay in a small chamber off the main tunnel, buried halfway in the luminescent sand. It was enormous. Emma had seen chicken eggs before, and this was nothing like that. This egg was the size of a cow, maybe bigger. Its shell was dark red with patterns of gold that seemed to move when you looked at them. The shell was warm when Emma touched it. She could feel something inside, something that pulsed like a heartbeat. "What is that?" Lucas whispered. "A dragon egg," Emma said. She did not know how she knew. She just did. They both stood very still. The egg pulsed again, slower this time. The golden patterns flowed across the shell like water. Emma could feel her own heart beating fast. She had heard the stories about dragons. Everyone had. The old colony, the one that came to Kepler 442b before this one, had been destroyed by dragons 50 years ago. The dragons had killed most of the settlers. The survivors had retreated to safer ground, and the new colony had been built far from the dragon territories. "We need to tell someone," Lucas said. "They will kill it," Emma said. "It is a dragon, Emma. Dragons kill people. This one is not killing anyone. It is just here. It is alone." Lucas wanted to argue, but Emma was already moving back toward the surface. He followed her because she was his sister, and she would do what she wanted anyway. They did not tell anyone at first. Emma thought about the egg the whole next day. She thought about it while she was supposed to be studying. She thought about it while she was eating dinner. Her parents asked her if she was sick. She said no. She was just tired. That night, she told Lucas they had to go back. "We have to tell the colony," Lucas said, but he was already putting on his boots. They went back to the caves. The egg was still there, still warm, still pulsing. Emma brought water from her backpack and a lamp. She did not know what a dragon egg needed, but it seemed like the right things to bring. By morning, Lucas had told the council. The council sent soldiers and doctors and scientists. They brought equipment and nets and weapons. Emma watched as they carried the egg out of the caves on a special stretcher. The egg had gone cold during the journey, and Emma could feel that something was wrong. The pulsing had become slow and weak. They put the egg in a metal chamber in the colony's medical building. Dr. Patricia Morgan, the lead scientist, said they would study it and figure out what to do. The colony wanted to destroy it. The council argued for 3 days. Some people said the egg was a threat. Others said it was a miracle. In the end, they decided to keep it alive until they understood what it was. But nobody understood what to do with a dragon egg. The doctors tried heat lamps. They tried humidity chambers. They tried different temperatures and different types of air. The egg grew colder and colder. The golden patterns on its shell began to fade. Emma snuck into the medical building at night. She had a key that Lucas had stolen for her. The egg lay in the chamber, dark and still, and it looked like something that was dying. She put her hand on the shell and closed her eyes. She thought about how the egg had felt warm in the caves, how the patterns had glowed. She thought about how alone it must feel in this cold metal room. She opened her eyes and looked at what the scientists had done. The heat lamp was too hot. The humidity was not right. Emma adjusted the settings. She lowered the temperature a few degrees. She added moisture to the air by setting water containers under the heat lamps. She opened the chamber slightly to let the air flow through it the way it probably flowed through the caves. For 3 weeks, Emma came every night. She made small changes. She watched how the egg responded. Slowly, the shell began to warm. The golden patterns began to glow again. The pulsing grew stronger. On the 21st night, the egg trembled. Emma was there. She watched as the shell began to crack. The dragon inside was small, no bigger than a cat, but it was the most beautiful thing Emma had ever seen. Its scales were dark red like the shell had been. Its wings were wet and crumpled. Its eyes opened and looked right at Emma. It made a sound like wind chimes. It was not a roar. It was soft and sad and lonely. Emma reached out her hand, and the baby dragon reached out its head, and they touched. Everything changed in that moment. Emma did not know it yet, but the galaxy would remember this moment. The moment a human child and a dragon saw each other and decided not to be enemies. The alarm sirens woke Emma at 3 in the morning. She lay in her bed and listened to the sound echoing across the colony. She knew what it meant. Rex ships. Attack. The Vrex had been testing the colony's defenses for months. They were aliens from the Outer Rim, traders and raiders who took what they wanted and did not care about the people they took it from. The colony had weapons and soldiers, but the Vrex had numbers and firepower. Every attack was worse than the last. Emma got out of bed and put on her clothes. She knew the drill. When the sirens went off, everyone was supposed to go to the underground bunkers. But Emma was not going to the bunkers. She was going to the medical building. She ran through the dark streets. Above her, she could hear the sound of the Vrex ships firing at the colony's defense grid. The sky lit up with explosions. A building 3 blocks away collapsed. Emma kept running. The medical building was empty. Everyone had gone to the bunkers or to the defense stations. Emma ran to the chamber where the baby dragon was kept. The scientists had moved it to a reinforced room after the egg hatched. They wanted to keep it safe, but safe meant locked away and alone. Emma opened the door. The hatchling was in the corner, small and terrified. The explosions were making the ground shake. The baby dragon's eyes were wide with fear. Oh, its scales were shaking. "It is okay," Emma said. She went to the corner and sat down next to the dragon. She did not pick it up. She just sat there. "I am here." The dragon moved closer to her. It curled its small body against her leg. Its skin was warm and dry now, not wet like it had been when it hatched. Emma put her hand on the dragon's back and felt its heartbeat racing. The explosions got louder. The whole building shook. Dust fell from the ceiling. The baby dragon made the wind chime sound again, softer this time. Afraid, Emma kept her hand on the dragon's back. She did not move. She did not run. She stayed exactly where she was, and the dragon stayed with her. After an hour, the explosions stopped. The colony's defense grid had held. The Vrex ships were retreating. The sirens changed their sound, a different pattern that meant the attack was over. Emma heard footsteps in the medical building, voices, someone shouting. She knew they would find her. She did not care. She was not leaving the baby dragon alone again. Lucas found her first. He stood in the doorway of the chamber and looked at his sister sitting on the floor with a dragon curled against her leg. His face went pale, "Emma, get away from it," he said. "No," Emma said. Dr. Patricia Morgan came in behind Lucas. She was a tall woman with gray hair and sharp eyes that noticed everything. She stopped when she saw Emma and the dragon. "That is a dragon," she said. "Not a question." "His name is Thorn," Emma said. She had decided this while waiting for the attack to end. "And I am not leaving him." Dr. Morgan did not say that Emma had to leave Thorn. She did not say the dragon was dangerous or had to be destroyed. She looked at the baby dragon curled against Emma's leg. She looked at Emma's face. Then she looked at Lucas. "Help me understand what I am seeing," Dr. Morgan said. Emma explained. She explained about going to the caves. She explained about finding the egg. She explained about the cold chamber and how she had come every night to adjust the settings. She explained about how the baby dragon had looked at her when it hatched. "The egg was dying," Emma said. "The scientists did not understand what it needed. I figured it out. I saved it." Dr. Morgan was quiet for a long time. Then she said, "Come with me. Keep the dragon with you. But slowly. Do not make any sudden movements." Emma stood up, and Thorn stayed pressed against her leg. They followed Dr. Morgan through the medical building to her office. Lucas came too. Dr. Morgan closed the door and turned to face them. "What you have done is either the greatest discovery of our time or the greatest mistake of our time," she said. "That is a dragon. Dragons are supposed to be mindless killers. But this one is not attacking you. This one is not trying to hurt you. This one is bonded to you. Do you understand how impossible that is?" "It was alone," Emma said. "It was scared." "And you are a child," Dr. Morgan said. "A child who should not have gone to the caves. A child who should not have touched the egg. A child who should not be sitting in my office with a baby dragon pressed against her leg like a pet. But here you are." Emma waited. She did not know if Dr. Morgan was going to take Thorn away or let her keep him. Dr. Morgan sat down in her chair. She looked at the baby dragon for a long time. Then she said, "I am going to propose something to the Colony Council, and they are going to think I am insane. But I think they are the ones who are wrong. I think this creature has shown us something remarkable. What if we have been approaching the dragons wrong the whole time? What if they are not monsters? What if they are intelligent beings that we never bothered to understand?" "The dragons destroyed the old colony," Lucas said. "They killed people." "They did," Dr. Morgan said. "Or perhaps the colony attacked them and they defended themselves. We do not know the whole story. We only know what we have been told. But what if we had a way to change things? What if this child and this dragon could be a bridge between our two species?" Emma felt Thorn's weight against her leg. She felt his warmth. She knew that Dr. Morgan was right. Something had changed. Everything had changed. The egg had not been a threat. It had been a chance. "What happens now?" Emma asked. "Now," Dr. Morgan said, "we figure out how to keep you and Thorn alive. We figure out how to keep the colony safe. And we figure out if a human and a dragon can really work together. Because if they can, it will change everything." Thorn made the wind chime sound, a soft and gentle noise that filled the small office with hope. The council argued for 2 weeks about what to do with Emma and Thorn. Some wanted them exiled. Some wanted them separated. Some wanted the dragon destroyed and Emma studied. But Dr. Morgan made them listen to reason. She showed them how fast Thorn was growing. She showed them how intelligent he was. She showed them recordings of Thorn understanding complex instructions and responding correctly. In the end, Governor Harrison Webb made a decision that most people thought was mad. He would send Emma and Thorn to find the Dragon Queen. If anyone could broker peace with the dragon clans, it would be someone bonded to a dragon. The risk was enormous. The reward could be everything. Emma prepared for the journey with Lucas and Dr. Morgan. They gathered supplies and weapons and medical equipment. They studied maps of the cavern systems. No human had gone deep into dragon territory and come back alive. They left the colony before dawn. Thorn flew above them, his wings still small but growing stronger every day. The baby dragon was 3 weeks old now and already as large as a human child. His scales had darkened to a deep red that looked almost black in the morning light. The entrance to the deep caves was cold and dark. The light that had filled the shallow caves near the colony did not reach here. Lucas had brought lamps, but their light seemed to get swallowed by the darkness. They descended into the earth for hours, following tunnels that twisted and turned. Thorn stopped walking and made a sound that Emma had never heard before. It was low and strange, like distant thunder. The sound echoed through the caves, bouncing off the stone walls until it seemed like the whole world was growling. Something answered from deep below. What was that? Lucas asked. Thorn is calling to them, Dr. Morgan said. He is telling them we come in peace. They kept walking. The tunnels grew wider. The walls changed from gray stone to something else, something smooth and carved. Emma realized they were not looking at natural caves anymore. They were looking at buildings. The dragon ruins stretched out before them. Massive structures carved directly into the stone. Towers that reached up into darkness. Bridges that crossed over chasms deep enough to kill anyone who fell. There were symbols on the walls, pictures and writing that told stories in a language no human had ever seen. They were a civilization, Dr. Morgan said. She was touching the carvings carefully, reverently. They built this. They created art and architecture and society. They were not just animals. They were intelligent. They were advanced. The light here was different. It came from crystals embedded in the stone, glowing with soft green and blue light. The crystals seemed to grow from the rock like plants. Emma wondered how old they were, how long they had been glowing in the darkness. Thorn kept leading them deeper. He flew through the ruins, his small wings carrying him faster now. He seemed to know the way, as if the memories of his species were written into his blood. The Dragon Queen's lair was massive. The chamber was so large that Emma could not see the far wall. The ceiling disappeared into shadow. And there, on a bed of crystals that glowed brighter than all the others, lay the Dragon Queen. She was beautiful and terrible. Her scales were deep crimson shot through with veins of gold that pulsed with light. Her wings were folded against her body, each wing the size of a house. Her eyes were closed, and her breathing was slow and shallow. Thorn approached her carefully. He made soft, sad sounds, the wind chime noise that Emma loved. He touched his snout to hers, and the Dragon Queen's eyes opened. They were golden and ancient and heartbroken. The Queen tried to lift her head, but she could not. She had a deep wound on her side, and the flesh around it was infected and dark. She was dying. Emma could see it. The Dragon Queen was slowly dying, and she was doing it alone in the darkness. "We have to help her," Emma said. She stepped forward before Lucas could stop her. The Dragon Queen's eyes focused on Emma. Emma felt the weight of those golden eyes, the judgment and fear and hope in them all at once. Emma opened her medical pack. She had brought supplies for injuries, for sickness, for emergency. She had brought antibiotics and bandages and tools. She approached the Dragon Queen slowly and carefully, making sure not to make any sudden movements. The Queen could have killed her with one movement. One swipe of her claws would tear Emma apart. But the Queen did not move. She just watched, her golden eyes tracking Emma's every motion. Emma cleaned the wound. She worked carefully and gently. She talked the whole time, telling the Queen what she was doing, explaining each step. She did not know if the Queen understood her words, but she hoped the Queen understood the intent. Healing, care, peace, She poured the antibiotics into the wound. She wrapped it with clean bandages. The Dragon Queen made no sound while Emma worked. When Emma was finished, the Queen closed her eyes. "Why did you do that?" Lucas asked. "Because she was alone," Emma said. "Because she was suffering. Because that is what you do when you find someone who needs help." Dr. Morgan was looking at the Dragon Queen with an expression of wonder and sadness. "She has lost so much," she said softly. "Look at the crystals. They used to be brighter. This whole lair was built for a dragon clan. A large one. Where are they all?" Emma realized the truth then. The other crystal beds were empty. The Dragon Queen was alone in her massive lair because everyone else was gone. She had ruled over a civilization, and now she ruled over nothing but memories. That night they sat in the lair with the Dragon Queen. Thorn curled up against the Queen's chest, small against the vastness of her. Emma fell asleep with her hand on Thorn's warm scales, and for the first time since she had found the egg, she felt like everything might be okay. But when morning came, the Dragon Queen opened her golden eyes and looked at Emma. And Emma saw the question there, the one that would determine the fate of 2 entire worlds. What choice would the Queen make? Peace or war? The Dragon Queen healed slowly. Every day, Emma returned to the wound and cleaned it. Every day, she brought new bandages and more medicine. Every day, the infection grew less dark. The Queen was strong. Her body was fighting, wanting to live. But the wound was not the only thing injured. The Queen's spirit was broken. She told stories, and Emma understood them, even though no words were spoken. Through Thorn, Emma could sense what the Queen remembered. She remembered her clutch, dozens of eggs laid in crystal beds, glowing with life and potential. She remembered them hatching, small dragons filling the lair with sound and movement and joy. She remembered an earthquake, a terrible shaking that brought the upper tunnels crashing down. She remembered caves collapsing and screaming, and bodies crushed under stone. She remembered searching through the rubble for survivors and finding none. All gone. Her entire family, her entire future, buried under rock and darkness. After that, the humans came. They hunted. They killed. She fought them, tried to stop them from taking her world. But she was alone. A single dragon against an entire species. Emma cried when she understood the full weight of what the Queen had endured. A mother who had lost everything. A ruler who had lost her kingdom. An ancient being who had simply wanted to survive. On the 5th day, other dragons came. They emerged from the tunnels, 6 of them, old and scarred and tired. They were the Dragon Queen's generals, the last survivors of her great civilization. They circled Emma and Lucas and Dr. Morgan, their eyes hard and suspicious. Thorn made a sound that Emma had learned meant warning. These dragons were not happy to see humans in their lair. The Queen spoke to them. No words, but sounds that were deep and complex, vibrations that made the ground tremble. The generals listened. Their eyes moved between the Queen and Emma. They did not look convinced. One general, darker than the others, with a scar running down the left side of his face, stepped forward. He opened his mouth, and Emma could see teeth as long as her hand. This dragon was preparing to kill her. Emma did not run. She did not hide. She stood up and looked directly at the scarred general. She thought about Thorn. She thought about how she had found him in the egg, how she had saved him, how he had bonded to her. She thought about the Dragon Queen, dying alone in the darkness. "I know what you have lost," Emma said. "I have seen it in the memories the Queen shared with me through Thorn. Your civilization was beautiful. Your people were intelligent and advanced and full of art and music and love. You lost them to catastrophe and then to war with my kind. I am sorry. My people were wrong to hunt you. My people did not understand you. But I understand now. And Thorn understands. And the Queen understands. We can end this. We can choose something different. The scarred general did not attack. He just watched Emma with eyes that held 1,000 years of anger. The humans destroyed the old colony, another general said. 50 years ago? We remember. We remember their weapons and their fear. They tried to take our world from us. I was not there 50 years ago, Emma said. I am only 10 years old. But I am here now, and I am asking you to choose peace. Not because my people deserve it. We do not. We have been careless and cruel. But because you deserve it. Because you deserve to rebuild. Because you deserve to have hope again. Because the Queen deserves to have more children, more dragons who will fill this lair with life and sound and joy instead of just empty echoing. The Dragon Queen made a sound. It was soft but commanding. The generals listened. One by one, they lowered their heads. The scarred general looked at Emma for a long moment. Then he turned away and walked back into the shadows. The other generals followed him. Emma did not know if that meant yes or no. She did not know if she had just saved everyone or sealed their deaths. Dr. Morgan put a hand on her shoulder. That was brave, she whispered. That night, the Queen did not sleep. She lay in her crystal bed with Thorn curled against her chest, and she thought. Emma could see it in her eyes. The decision was forming, the weight of choice pressing down on the ancient dragon. By morning, the Queen had decided. She stood. Her wound was still not fully healed, but she forced her body to work anyway. She spread her massive wings and made a sound that echoed through the caverns. Dragons appeared from tunnels and shadows, dozens of them, all that was left of a civilization that had once covered entire continents. They gathered around the Queen as she prepared to leave the lair that had been her prison for so long. The Queen looked at Emma. She bent her great head, and Emma reached up and touched her snout. In that touch was everything. An apology, a hope, a choice to try something new instead of drowning in the past. The dragons and the humans walked together out of the deep caverns. Lucas was afraid. Dr. Morgan was fascinated. Anna was certain that she was doing the right thing. They emerged from the caves at sunset. The colony saw them coming and raised weapons, ready for war. Governor Webb stood at the front of the defense line, his face grim and set for battle. Then Thorn flew forward and landed on Emma's shoulder. The baby dragon made his wind chime sound, a sound of joy and recognition. Thorn spread his wings, and they caught the light of the setting sun and turned deep crimson. The Dragon Queen followed her son into the light. She was magnificent and terrifying and absolutely beautiful. She landed in the open space between the dragons and the humans, and she bowed her head. No attack came. No roar of fury. Just a dragon and a human child, standing together in the light of a new day. Governor Webb lowered his weapon. Emma stepped forward, and Lucas came with her, and the Dragon Queen reached out her snout and touched Emma's head gently. The way a mother touches a child. The choice had been made. Everything had changed. 3 years passed. The settlement on Kepler 442b was unrecognizable now. Where there had been human buildings made of metal and plastic, there were now structures built from carved stone and crystal, designed by dragons and built by both species working together. The colony had expanded. What had been a small human outpost was now a true city, a place where dragons and humans lived in the same streets, worked in the same buildings, and sat together at the same tables. Emma was 13 now. She was no longer the small girl who had snuck into the caves. She was tall and strong, and her face had the calm certainty of someone who had changed the world and knew it. Thorn was enormous. He was no longer the tiny hatchling that had fit against Emma's leg. He was a young dragon, nearly full-grown, with a wingspan that made shadows across entire buildings. But he was still bonded to Emma. He still curled against her when she slept. They were a pair, inseparable, and so deeply connected that some people said they could read each other's thoughts. The Dragon Queen had made her home in a grand chamber at the heart of the city. The humans had carved it for her, a place where she could hold court and meet with Governor Webb to discuss the shared governance of their world. The Queen and the Governor had become something like partners. Not friends, not exactly, but people who had learned to respect each other and work toward the same goal. "The wrecks are moving," the Queen said during one of their regular meetings. "Our scouts have detected 3 warships gathering in the outer system. They are preparing for another attack." Emma was there with them, working as the bridge between species. She translated not just words, but meaning, helping each side understand what the other truly wanted to say. "They do not know about the Dragon Alliance," Governor Webb said. "They still think we are alone. They still think we are easy to conquer." "Let them come," the Dragon Queen said. "This time, they will learn differently." When the Vrek ships arrived 2 weeks later, they expected to find a colony of humans. What they found instead was something that had never existed before. The defense grid that the humans had built was impressive, but it was nothing compared to the aerial attack that came from above. Dragons poured out of the upper atmosphere, fast and coordinated, and absolutely deadly. The dragons had learned to work in formations from human pilots. They had learned tactics and strategy. They had learned to communicate and move as a single force. The wrecked ships began to fall. The human pilots in their sleek combat vessels flew alongside the dragons, providing additional firepower and coordination. Humans and dragons fighting as one unit, their strengths combining perfectly. Where humans had superior technology and strategic thinking, dragons had speed and raw power. Together, they were unstoppable. The Vreks realized their mistake too late. They tried to retreat, but by then it was too late. The coalition of human and dragon defenders was too fast, too skilled, too coordinated. The Vreks lost 2 ships before they ran. The 3rd ship tried to escape to hyperspace, but Thorn caught it before it could jump, his claws tearing into the hull and forcing the ship down. The battle lasted less than an hour. The Vreks did not attack Kepler-4 42b again. News of what happened spread across the galaxy. Trading ships carried stories of a human colony defended by dragons. Scientists published papers about the impossible alliance. Other species began to reassess their understanding of humanity. Humans were not some minor species to be conquered or ignored. Humans could inspire peace. Humans could broker alliances. Humans could change other species' entire perception of what was possible. The Interplanetary Council requested a meeting with the leadership of Kepler-4 42b. Governor Webb and the Dragon Queen sent Emma as one of their representatives. A 13-year-old human girl, bonded to a young dragon, standing before the assembled species of the known galaxy. She spoke about how she had found a dragon egg in the darkness and chosen to save it instead of destroy it. She spoke about how that single choice had led to friendship, to alliance, to peace. She spoke about how the old assumptions about dragons and humans were wrong, and how species that had been enemies for centuries could choose something different. The Council voted to admit humanity to full diplomatic status, not because humans were powerful warriors, not because they had defeated the Vreks, but because they had done something no other species had done. They had looked at another intelligent species, remembered all the harm between them, and chosen to reach for peace anyway. The Dragon Queen bore more eggs. Emma was there when the first new dragon had hatched since the original disaster that had killed so many. The tiny creature, scales the color of starlight, opened its eyes and looked at the world that had been remade. It made a sound like wind chimes. Emma held the newborn dragon carefully, the way she had held Thorn all those years ago. She thought about how much had changed, how much one choice could change, how much one person could matter. Thorn stood beside her, his head bent down to see his sibling. The young dragon and the newborn touched snouts, a greeting between siblings from different worlds and species, both born into a universe that was better and kinder because of Emma's choice in the darkness. Governor Webb watched from the entrance to the chamber. The Dragon Queen watched from her crystal bed. Lucas and Dr. Morgan watched from across the room. They all saw the same thing, the future. A human and a dragon standing together, holding new life, proving that everything could change when you chose to see someone not as an enemy, but as a person worth saving. 13 years old, and Emma had already changed the course of galactic history. She had taken an orphaned egg and turned it into hope. She had taken an ancient queen drowning in grief and given her reason to believe in the future again. She had taken two species that wanted to destroy each other and made them partners. In a few years, she would be old enough to lead, to sit as ambassador between worlds, to teach other species what the dragons and humans had learned, that the greatest strength is not in weapons or power, but in the choice to understand, the choice to heal, the choice to see your enemy as someone who could become your greatest ally. But for now, on this night under the twin sunsets of Kepler 442b, Emma was just a girl who held a newborn dragon and felt Thorn's warm presence beside her. And she knew that everything she had done, everything that had happened, had been worth it. The dragon egg she had found in the darkness had taught her the most important truth. The greatest power in the universe is not destruction. It is compassion. It is the choice to save instead of to kill. It is love.